Chester Zoo's orangutans live in the lap of luxury. Their new enclosure was opened earlier this year at a cost of £3.5 million. The realm of the red ape is home to 10 orangutans, native to Borneo and Sumatra. The orangs are the responsibility of the head keeper of primates, Andy Lenehan.
Most zoos in the world get their orangs in at night, separate them at night, and there's nothing wrong in that because they are quite a solitary animal. They like their own space, if not all day, some of the day. But we've designed this enclosure to give them more freedom, so there's lots of internal areas and lots of external areas, and if they want to separate themselves at night, they can do. If they don't have to. Orangs tend to just sit there and stare straight through you, and you can see they're thinking all the time, but you can't quite work out sometimes what they're thinking. After you've worked with them a few years, you can work out their character and you can work what they're thinking. But it takes a lot longer to get to know an orang, I'd say, than it does to know a chimp.
The leader of the group is Pulu, the alpha male and the father of 4 babies.
He was born in Perth, Australia, and he's now 20. He's father of all the offspring. He's actually the sort of the dominant animal in the group. But for a male orang, he's got a very soft nature.
The senior citizen of the group is a 43-year-old female.
Both the female Sumatran orangs are quite a success story, really. They were both bottle-fed by keepers because their mother didn't rear them. But they've reared their own baby. But they've both had 2 youngsters. They've got young with them now. Emma's is just over 3.5. and Subis's is just over 3. Subis, when she was very, very young, she was obviously still being hand-reared, and she was wandering around the old orang house, and she stuck her hand in with her father, and it could have been a lot worse, but he bit her finger off. It sounds bad, but unless you know, you wouldn't suspect that she's actually got a finger missing.
The missing finger doesn't stop Subis being a good mum.
You can be too good where they won't let the infant off. So she lets the infant have its own space and go off, but she's there for it if it gets worried about anything. So she's a good in-between, you know. You've got to look after the youngster, but when it's ready to go and explore, you've got to let it. And some animals, if they're really into their babies, they hold them too tight sometimes. Hopefully she should have probably about another 4 to 5 youngsters in her life, because they can live over 40 years old, 50 years old, so hopefully she'll still have a few more youngsters yet, because she's a good mother and so's her sister.
Chester is home to 7 African black rhinos. Today, 17-year-old Quinto is in need of help. The male rhino has a sore foot, which headkeeper Chaz Mackenzie and his team want to inspect.
Quinto's got a problem with his foot. There's just a slight skin growth in between his toes, and we need to trim it. And he has a slight hole underneath, which we need to keep an eye on and make sure that there's nothing in there and it doesn't penetrate further up.
Quinto, come up. Quinto, come up.
Most animals will do things for food, so what you're trying to do is reward good behaviour.
Quinto, come up. Good boy.
Keeper Rosie Scott is training him to come to them on command, and he's responding well.
It's positive reinforcement. If he touches the target like we want him to do, then he'll get a reward for it. If he doesn't, then he won't get rewarded, obviously. So he'll associate that he's done something good with getting something good. And then that way we build up the behaviour. So eventually you can just filter off the treats and he'll just do it without it. I mean, I'm literally giving him crumbs here, so. Quinto, come up. Quinto, come up. Good boy.
Quinto's next-door neighbour is his old sparring partner, Rosie.
Rosie.
She's in a grumpy mood and as aggressive as ever.
I think if we get a chance, we should try and get Rosie out. I think the racket she's making.
Yeah. Oh, behave. Come on, Rose. Quinto. Rosie! Rosie, come on.
Rosie seems determined to fight.
The difficult thing now is because he's wound up now, there's possibilities of him not standing well. He might be a good boy, but you just don't know. She's still slightly on edge yet, so she's getting rather upset and she's been quite aggressive.
Chaz decides the only solution is to separate the two.
We kick Rosie outside to give him a bit of peace and quiet so we can work with him. So there's no distractions at all.
Ready, Quinto, come up. Good boy, Quinto, foot. Good lad, good boy.
With Rosie out of the way, senior keeper Helen Massey can finally take a look at Quinto's sore foot. But she must be careful when working near his horns.
So it's important to have two people doing this, so you can have one keeping an eye on him and keeping his focus on the food, while the other one can put in the foot block and have a check of his foot. So obviously, if you can see he keeps moving his head, just having a check on what I'm doing. But he knows Rosie's got some bread, so he'll keep coming up to her when she calls him.
Steady.
It's a slow process, but vital if they're to prevent Quinto's foot from becoming infected.
Good boy.
I'm just trimming some of the excess skin that's just hanging off. And you have to make the most of wherever he puts his foot, so
Quinto,
it
come
can be quite difficult.
They're like kids and your attention spans are not great, so what you try and do is do it as quick as you possibly can.
There's no point pushing him to do what he doesn't want to do. Otherwise, the following time we do it, it'll be more difficult to reinforce.
We'll call it quits today and do it again another time.
Yeah, I managed to cut off a few fairly big pieces which were hanging down below the level of his foot. So in comparison to the other foot, which is nice and smooth underneath, this one had at least those two bits stuck together like that. So hopefully now it'll be a lot more comfortable when he's walking. So you'll associate what we've just done with being good, so it'll be much better next time.
With continued care, Quinto's foot will get better. As for his love life and his relationship with Rosie, only time will tell. In the lion's enclosure, a soccer is still waiting for his mate, Asher, to give birth. Today, the lioness is being monitored in her den by keeper Laura Kelly.
Well, Asher, she's a week overdue now, but we're not too concerned because we've looked back at old records and they do often go over the due date. A soccer, the male who was born here last, his litter actually went 8 days over, so we're not concerned. We all guessed what day it was going to be, but unfortunately we were all wrong anyway because we all thought it was going to be a few days ago, so now we're just like, today, it's going to be today. But we've been saying that every day, so we're just coming all excited in the morning. We have to just wait and see, but it could be like the next 20 minutes, it could be in a couple of days, we just don't know yet. We've all had a guess how many cubs as well. I'm guessing 3, but I'll have to wait and see.
All eyes are on Asher, but only she knows when the big day will arrive. At Chester Zoo, the keepers are dealing with the aftermath of fighting among the antelopes. Chester is home to a herd of 8 scimitar-horned oryx, which are extinct in the wild. All 8 are females. The trouble started when a young male was introduced from another zoo as part of an international breeding programme. The newcomer, called Ronnie, came under instant attack from the much larger females and was chased away. The animal's horns are lethal weapons. In the wild, oryx have been known to spear and kill lions. Today, head keeper Chaz Mackenzie is dealing with a leg injury that Ronnie suffered during the attack.
I thought it safer to shut him in Come on, boy, you're going to get off. Yeah, back left leg. Slightly swollen. He was bleeding there yesterday, so... Yeah, it's like his wrist joint, ankle joint, what you like to call it there. He's got quite a nasty cut just on it. He's favouring it, so he's not putting his weight on it too much. So, as I said, we'll try and keep him in again today and have a word with the vets about seeing whether we should get him on some antibiotics.
If the injury is left untreated, Ronnie could become completely lame. Chaz calls in senior veterinary nurse Karen Homer to inject him with a dart gun.
There is a certain amount of pain related. There is if we have injections from doctors, so for me to say this is not going to hurt at all, I think I would be...
Lying.
Yeah, well, yeah. We can't tell how much it does hurt them. We try and use drugs that don't sting too badly, but of course you might not have that option. It's whichever drug is going to do the job. So the drug that we're using is a long-acting antibiotic. The vet has kindly worked out the dose for me. And although we could probably get this amount of drug into a smaller dart, the reason we haven't done is it's easier for the keepers to get a bigger dart back out of the animal.
Darting can be stressful for any animal.
We're just filling up that.
It's usually a last resort.
If I have to dart more than once, then of course the animal's going to get upset about it, and there's always the risk that the drug won't go in. So hopefully, first time, we'll be fine. OK, he's gone through.
Has he gone through?
Yep.
Sweet.
Now, this young Oryx is fairly new to our collection, but I don't know what experience he's had of being darted before. Of course, the more often these guys are darted, the more wary they are of dart guns.
I'll see if I can bring him down a bit here.
An infrared beam illuminates the target area. Karen gets a clear shot and fires.
OK, and I don't know if you can actually see, but all the drug has come out of the dart. So that's successfully gone into the animal. Look, because it's an antibiotic, it's actually got to get it into his system. It's not as if it's a pain relief or anything like that. So, but the drug itself should last a few days, so we shouldn't have to do that injection again for 2 to 3 days.
Keeper Andy Wolfenden is entering the tiger enclosure. He's preparing to tempt a young Sumatran tiger called Kapala to develop his natural predatory skills and take his first swim.
We're going to try and actually feed him in the water. We've got a raft that we built and we actually use it all around the section. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the food on top of it and then float it out into the middle, and hopefully when we let him out, he'll do his usual thing of scouring the paddock to try and find where the food is, using his sense of smell. And then hopefully he'll find it, obviously, see that it's in the water, and after a few minutes decide to take the plunge and go for a swim. So a nice bit of beef and an oven-ready chicken. He's used to normally just getting quite a big joint of beef, so the chicken's a little bit different for him. Hopefully we've got something that smells quite strong, so obviously it'll attract him to him a little bit quicker, and obviously something that'll tease him a little bit. If he really likes the smell of it, he'll obviously want to eat it a lot more, and hopefully that'll give him a little push to actually get him into the water. It may take a while to go in there, but unfortunately the pool's on the other side of the enclosure to the slides, so by the time we get there, he may have already gone into the water.
2-year-old Kapala can see and smell the food, yet he's unsure how to reach it. But swimming is something that should come naturally to him.
Sumatran tigers have got semi-webbed feet, and they've actually been known to chase prey that they know that they can't catch on foot into water where they know that they can outswim them, and actually catch them and kill them in the water and then drag them out. So this is obviously quite a natural thing for them to do, something that we're going to try and bring out of him. So he's trying every possibility now. He's gone and decided to crash through the foliage. So yeah, he'll probably come into the far side now, and then figure out in his mind, he's trying to figure out what the safest way of getting it is. So hopefully he'll decide to take the plunge. The pool isn't that deep, it's only 2 or 3 foot, so you know, he's more than capable of swimming in there.
After 10 minutes of stalking the raft, Kapala makes his move.
He's a clever boy, isn't he? Look at that. Foiled. He's still got the meat left. He's drifting out again now, so he's not going to be able to do the same again. As soon as he finishes his chicken, he might have another go. Certainly the chicken will whet his appetite, and we obviously know he's hungry, so we'll give it a couple more minutes and see if he goes in. With Kapala still being quite young, he's still unsure about, you know, he doesn't know how deep the water is, or how, you know, it's going to be a funny texture for him as well, very much like a baby learning new things. So he's just trying to break that first boundary, that first mental boundary of him knowing that it's safe to go in there. Yeah, he's just got the last bit of meat. He's always dropped it in. He's deciding to eat the raft instead.
Kapala's confidence appears to be growing.
He went up quite far, you can see. So he's gone up to almost up to his chest in it. So he'll know the depth of it now. The piece of beef's obviously fallen in there, and if he knows it's still in there, he may go in for it. There we go, he's going to go in. I think he wasn't expecting it to be quite so cold. So that was good. Obviously he went in there of his own accord as well. He knows the meat's in there, but it's in at the edge, and he knows he's in there with his paws in. For him to go that far, obviously, that's a great start, you know. I think it's more than I expected, to be honest. So he's going back in again now. So it didn't go quite as to plan, but all that aside, we achieved what we set out to achieve. He's been in the water. He's been in twice of his own accord, which is fantastic. You know, and it's looking good for Kapala. The next one is to try and get the girls in there. We'll hopefully not be able to keep him out now if he goes back in again.
In the bird enclosure, senior keeper Darren Langford is having a tidy-up. With him is his constant companion at times like this, a bird of paradise called Jackson.
Go on your back. That's normal Jackson's stance, is to sit on your back while you wander around. This is one of the things you have to put up with an imprinted bird. You have to have a juvenile male bird of paradise taking a fancy to you. There's not much you can do to discourage him now because he's so imprinted. Oh, there he goes. He'll be back.
To Jackson, Darren is a rival male.
He uses your arms, your back and all sorts as if you were a part of a limb of a tree to display off, but he's actually displaying to you in a rivalry sort of way to try and say, I'm out competing you, because he doesn't see himself as a bird of paradise, even though he lives with 2 other males. Unfortunately, he was hand-reared, and probably hand-reared as a single bird, and whoever did it doted on him just that little bit too much. And he now sees himself as a person. These birds come from Papua New Guinea, and they live in really dense tropical rainforest. Basically, the adult male's plumes is what is collected, mainly for headdresses and other attires like that. I'm sure you can see on our adult male how gaudy the plumage is, and when that's spread out into a fan, it's actually quite a big. It's like a red hairpiece. Here we go. Let's put him on his branch. He won't go, you know. There you go. And he won't go. He has to come back all the time. It's like a magnet. You can't get rid of it. And you have to watch your ears and your earrings. Anything in your ear, you have to be careful with him. But he can be a bit of a pain in the backside, to be honest. But once you're going to leave the enclosure, you've just got to put him on a branch, as so, and then make a quick exit before he can get out. Let's get video again. can be, it's awful hot and sweaty. There you go. There we go. And that's how you sort of get out, and then you get him again. But it doesn't hurt, and he's... we find a branch quickly, stick him on. Go on. There you go. Make a quick exit. There you go. And he goes back then to be a bird of paradise.
Next time, Rafters the giraffe takes a turn for the worse.
Come on. Good boy, Raman.
Raman goes to nursery school.
Boy, Raman trunk. Good boy.
And a sleeping chimp gives the vets the fright of their lives. The keepers at Chester are engaged in battle with a highly organised and efficient enemy. A family of meerkats is determined to fill in the trench that surrounds their enclosure. Senior keeper Shane Blake calls on students Becky Brown and Simon Knock to stop them.
Basically, the reason for digging this all back around the sides is to stop the meerkats climbing up the walls and getting out. Before we started this, the soil came down and it was about level with about here. So obviously, once it's here, they can use this. They can actually climb up this, and then once they get into this paddock, then we've got problems.
The site at Chester Zoo covers more than 100 acres. If the meerkats scale the wall, catching them would be challenging, to say the least.
We're going to take it back, well, as far as we can, really. But as you see, it's quite a job.
Meerkats we have here are one family group. It's a mother and a youngsters. Very inquisitive. You've got to keep a good eye on them. They can move the earth quite effortlessly compared to the rest of us. They can spend a good part of the day just digging. They always seem to keep themselves busy, hence where they dig in, they're always foraging. You'll always see one on lookout. They work as a unit and they're very good at it. Once you've gone out the paddock, you'll find they'll come over and they'll dig part of it back in again for the next day. But, you know, it's a little war with them. It's fun.
It's a war that Shane is gradually winning, thanks to his student recruits. Simon and Becky are on a year's placement at Chester.
A keeper's job is varied. It's not just feeding and cleaning animals, it is other things as well, like digging. But yeah, it's good. I like being in with the animals.
Although it's a bit physical, it's not like that we're killing ourselves doing it. You know, it's not like a boot camp or anything. Well, a little bit. But...
Simon and Becky have been very good year students. They can be trusted to do a lot of the jobs by themselves. They're very keen. They come out with a lot of ideas. I won't say too much because they get big heads, but as long as I get a nice present off them when they leave, I'll do them a good report.
Working closely with the meerkats on a regular basis has given Shane the chance to watch their unique character traits emerge.
The more you watch them, they all seem to have their own little personalities. They do little things like sunbathing. They basically sit with their backs against the window like an ordinary person would on a sunshine, and they'll just like that sunbathe, which is really cute and funny.
With their enlarged claws and narrow feet and hands, meerkats can easily dig burrows up to 10 feet deep. Shane suspects it won't be long before the shovels are out and the trench warfare commences once more.
I should imagine it'll take long for the meerkats to have it all back in again. It could take up to anything to a month. They can be quite fast diggers. Obviously, if they want, they can probably spend most of the day digging, and most of it will all end up back in the walls. It's never ending.
Right, come on then, girls. Anyone come in?
It's been a difficult 24 hours for head keeper Tim Rowlands.
Good girl. OK, OK.
Rafters, the 2-year-old giraffe, hand-reared by Tim, has been battling an extremely rare disease called pemphigus.
Pemphigus foliaceus is where the body generates antibodies which start to attack the junctions that hold all the skin cells together.
Despite their best efforts, the vet team has been struggling to find a successful treatment.
As we've started to reduce his steroid dose, the condition has started just to flare up again.
And it seems Rafter's health is deteriorating.
Yesterday he took a turn for the worse. When we came in the morning he looked a little uncomfortable on his feet and his ears were drooping. He looked a little bit uncomfortable in his stomach. We spoke to the vets in the morning and we were just observing him throughout the day. And then twice midday his legs buckled. Whether he had pain in his feet we're not sure, but twice he went down, and the second time we had to go in and get him up and bring him inside.
The condition has affected Rafter's appetite, and Tim has been closely monitoring his weight.
Rafter's back in February weighed 462k. 424k. He's lost quite a bit of weight. He should, as a young, growing male, be putting it on. This is the problem we're getting, that he won't eat. It's just another symptom of one of the symptoms that have shown there's something quite drastically wrong with him.
The disease has also had serious effects on Rafter's hooves, which have become cracked and blistered, making it painful to walk.
The new horn growing through should be clear and shouldn't be split, and it's all coming through split. So that's not showing us good signs at all. It's showing that we still have this problem. Discussion with the relevant people, myself, curator, and the vet team. This just might bring the inevitable forward, but we really are back to square one, and the only treatment we were giving him now isn't working. We have to review the whole situation, so I think decisions have to be made.
The team has been using steroids to stabilise his condition, but these also carry risks. It's proving to be a difficult balancing act for zoo vet Steve Unwin.
As of yesterday, we've increased the amount of steroids that Rafters is getting, and that will be maintained for the next week. Unfortunately, it's finding a dose that is not going to harm Rafters, but also at the same time control the disease that he's got. Unfortunately, at the moment, it looks like we're losing the battle.
This has never been seen in a giraffe before, so we're really trying to treat it blindly at the moment. But if he's suffering and we can't get him right, then we will make the decision to put him down.
It will be one of the hardest decisions Tim will ever make. At the tropical house, an extremely rare turtle called Timmy is on its way to hospital.
Hey, sweetie. Okay, here we have our little Arnhem leaf turtle, and the problem with this little sweetie is that she had a dislocated hip. We're still not absolutely sure how she did this, but the good news is that she recovered very well with a mixture of medications, pain relief and antibiotics.
7 weeks ago, Steve took Timmy to Liverpool University's Small Animal Teaching Hospital, where a scan identified the dislocated hip.
Here we go.
Today's return trip will reveal whether Steve's treatment has been successful.
Because the CT scanner takes about a minute to do, we need her to be still for that length of time. Last time she was the model patient and didn't move at all without any need for anaesthetic. She was very calm, and so that was great. So we're hoping for the same thing this time as well. So this tape is just to stabilise her, really.
The scan is a costly but crucial procedure. Arnhem leaf turtles are all but extinct in the wild, but there are hopes that Timmy will breed in the coming months.
It's taking an image every ½ millimetre through the animal, so we can get a 3D view of the back half of the turtle.
That's fine, we're finished now.
Okay, let's go and put her back in her box so she doesn't get stressed. You all right? No change. Great. There you go. Right. let's go and have a look at these images.
Anna Newitt, lecturer in diagnostic imaging, is concerned that the bone could be deteriorating.
We can actually see that there is an area of greater bone loss here, particularly here. There are some other areas, this is the most notable one, where we've got a big sort of defect in the bone which isn't present on the other side. So we have got continuing bone erosion. That does suggest an ongoing process of some sort.
Because there have been changes in the turtle's health since the last scan, Anna can't rule out the possibility of infection. The team will return Timmy to Chester for further blood tests. At Chester Zoo's medical centre, vet Steve Unwin and senior veterinary nurse Karen Homer are running tests on a rare turtle called Timmy, who has a dislocated hip.
Okay, this is the patient's game, a waiting game. We're collecting blood from the turtle just to check its white cell count. And where we collect blood from for preference is the jugular. That obviously runs down either side of the neck. Now, to be able to extrude said head from neck, you need strong fingers and patience. What we can potentially do is sedate her to be able to get the blood sample, but that also has its own risks.
Come on, mate.
So what Karen's trying to do is get her fingers behind the jaw, and so that will stop the animal being able to retract its head. But to all intents and purposes, this is still a healthy turtle, and they've got very strong neck muscles because it's a reflex. They want to get back into their shell for safety's sake.
Turtles are worse than tortoises to try and get their heads out, and especially this type of turtle seem to be quite shy and not really willing to poke their heads out to have a look around. So you have to try and be quick, and what you don't want to do is cause any damage to the turtle or cause it any stress.
Karen gets her fingers behind the turtle's jaw, but must be careful not to hurt her.
Oh, sorry. No, she's just go. If you let her loose for a second, just hoping she'll relax again.
The team's patience pays off.
That's brilliant.
Okay, let me just get.
And Steve is finally able to take blood for analysis.
The blood sample we've just taken will be able to tell us if there is an infection systemically which may need treatment. So we'll send that off to the lab now and see what the findings are when they come back in a day or so.
At the elephant enclosure, 51-year-old female Sheba is enjoying some TLC courtesy of headkeeper Mick Jones.
She's our oldest elephant, and she gets a little bit sore, like all of us who are getting older. And we're just going to give her a warm water massage with a power washer on her legs, so to get her clean and to sort of ease the discomfort, really.
As matriarch of the herd, Sheba has a lot on her shoulders. The responsibility of providing support and caring for the other elephants can take its toll. The special power washer massage will drain any noxious chemicals from Sheba's aging muscles, helping her to feel elephant again.
Sheba, foot.
Sheba has an abscess in her foot, and tomorrow we'll see the vet.
All right, good girl.
In the meantime, a relaxing foot bath will help keep her feet free of infection.
We're going to put her feet in a soak. We've got antibacterial scrub, and then she can have her breakfast.
Good girl, Sheeps. Is that a bit warm, Bubba?
Sheba has to have a little help with breakfast these days because she's only got 2 teeth.
Giving her some chopped grass. That's just chopped. She doesn't have to chew it so very much. Yeah, giving her a bran mash. That's got rapeseed oil in it. That's for her joints.
Special breakfast, then it shows.
Huh? And then we've got her senior mix, and then elephant pellets. They all get this stuff.
Voila.
So elephants have 6 sets of teeth, and that get to around 55 or 60, they're going to be losing the last set of teeth, and that makes it difficult for them to break their food down. So gradually they'll lose weight, and she's lost a little weight, but this preparation is to sort of arrest that problem, if you like. We just give her a little bit of extra care. Sheba the queen. You're not supposed to fall in love with the animals you look after. I'm in an unfortunate position I have. As you can tell, Alan doesn't like her at all.
Nah, can't be doing it.
After working with her for many years, Sheba has learned to trust Alan and Mick completely.
It's now only Alan and I that do the hands-on. She's an older elephant and she's a bit difficult with new people.
Seen it all, haven't you, Sheeps, eh?
And the babies.
And all the babies, yeah. She's looking after Burma, who's an adult female elephant now, in the same way. She's got that in her, which is crucial, really.
We have to give this elephant good press. You get a feeling that they understand everything that you're saying sometimes. It's uncanny. It's frightening. You can feel her listening to you and going, oh yeah, is that right? Maybe not. I think she's done, matey.
She's done, mate. Yeah, she's done.
Yep. Now that she's clean, she'll have to have a few minutes in the sand dirtying herself again. That's children for you. Big grey children. And then they'll all go out and they can be elephants for the rest of the day.
Mick will keep his fingers crossed that there's good news from the vet tomorrow. Headkeeper Tim Rowlands doesn't just care for giraffes at Chester. He's also responsible for Strolch and Loyu, a male and female bear with a volatile relationship.
Good morning. These two have only been together for 18 months, but they are like an old married couple who will squabble and fall out and make up. There's never real harmony amongst them. I mean, they'll quite happily stay in the same pen, they'll sleep in the same basket together, but then she'll get up and give him a cuff around the ear. Strolch is our adult male bear. He's fairly placid, but he knows he's a bear, he knows he's a male bear, and he knows his power. So we don't take any chances. Some days he's grumpy and you don't do this. Other days he's fine, he'll eat from your hand. This is why you have to know your animals.
Spectacled bears are the second smallest bear in the world and the inspiration for the famous Paddington.
So this is Loya, the female, who's got a little bit of a mood on her this morning. Again, that's why you need to know your animals. So it just means you're a little more wary of her. So I think they've had a little bit of a tiff, but they'll be all right when they get back outside. Hey.
It's dinner time, and a chance for Tim to provide the bears with some stimulation to snap them out of their bad mood.
Bears spend their life looking for food, eating and sleeping. So if it's presented to them, they have nothing to do for the rest of the day. So that's why we do 5, 6, 7 different feeds during a day. And the idea is, for this feed, we're going to try and hide bits of it. So we're just going to put a little bit in this log pile. And then what we're going to do, very simply, is we're going to throw all the logs back on top. It just means that the bears have to spend a little bit of time moving the logs to find their food, as they would do in the wild. So if this was a rotten tree, they'd be digging it apart to look for their food. If they miss any of the coaties, find it.
The family of coatis live alongside the bears, just as they would in the cloud forests of the Andes. The hunt for dinner just got interesting. There's a bucket full of fruit somewhere in the enclosure. Strolch and Loyu have a keen sense of smell, sharp, elongated claws for digging, and a head for heights. All essential when facing competition for dinner. On the menu this morning is an extra special treat.
We do an enrichment feed with melons. We'll hide it in different places. Today we've thrown it in the water, encourage him in, to go and fish it out, just using the whole of the enclosure really. And he loves the water.
Both coaties and spectacled bears are competent swimmers, but it's Strolch who's first to the watermelon. On this occasion, it seems the bears have won the battle for food, leaving the coaties hunting for scraps. It's just as well, as Tim suspects Loyu could be eating for two.
The behaviour has been exactly what we'd have expected, that they both came out of the winter period. They started to increase the food intake. Then we had the mating season, which lasted perfect length of time. And now they've gone to being an old grumpy married couple that just get on with each other. So that's showing all the signs that she's conceived and now wants nothing to do with him.
Tim's hopeful that cubs could be on the way this winter. In the meantime, Loyu will be giving Strolch the cold shoulder. Next time, the keepers forgo fashion in the name of feeding. And Christmas comes early for Nessie, the Komodo.
You know what's coming, don't you, Nessie? It's yum-yum time.
It's an important day for everyone at Chester Zoo, but especially head keeper Alan Woodward.
Asher, come on, Poppy.
3 weeks ago, rare Asiatic lion Asher was moved to a specially prepared den to give birth. While male lion Asoka pined for his mate, the anxious keepers could only guess how many cubs would be born and when.
It's quite difficult. I mean, she can have any amount from 1 to 4, really. Asher is looking quite big, so really could be any guess. Yeah.
When her due date came and went, they began to doubt that Asher was pregnant at all.
We're still waiting with bated breath. Every morning I come in and check her, and every morning things are just the same. But I'm sure quite soon we'll come in and things will be quite different.
Overnight, there have been exciting developments.
Well, some great news last night. Asher actually gave birth after such a long wait. She's had 2 cubs. You can see the cubs on the monitor there. There's one there, and there's one there.
These 2 tiny balls of fluff are of huge significance for a species that's critically endangered in the wild.
It has been a long wait. You do start doubting yourself a bit whether it's a phantom pregnancy or not, and it was a huge relief when she had the cubs last night. So she was just a week overdue, that's all.
Alan knows the team can't afford to be complacent. Last time Asher gave birth, the cubs died.
We're over the first hurdle with her actually having 2 healthy cubs. So at least it's better this time than it was last time. She was 2 weeks premature the last time. So I think that's why the cubs are that much more stronger. All of the signs are good with Asher at the moment. I mean, she's very maternal to the cubs. She's quite aggressive to her keepers, protecting the cubs against any outsiders, really. So far, so good.
Infrared cameras inside the den provide the team with a window into Asher's world, allowing them to observe the new family without disturbing them.
We'll monitor Asher about every hour or so, come across and check the monitor and check the noise levels as well, just to be on the safe side.
Asher's maternal instincts appear to be serving her well. She's keeping her cubs clean and has begun verbal communication with them.
Asher is looking well. She's looking a bit tired today. The cubs seem quite strong, but obviously it's important that we monitor them and just see how things go. And obviously when you breed an animal as charismatic and endangered as the Asiatic lion, it's extremely important. And it does, the whole team feels extremely proud today as well. Everybody's elated about what's happened. So it's just up to Asher now, just hoping that she's going to be a good mother and then everything goes well.
Alan will be keeping a close eye on the cubs' progress throughout the day. At the reptile house, Flora, the Komodo dragon, is enjoying the quiet life. But her peace is about to be disturbed as keeper Karen Entwistle makes room for a new arrival. coming all the way from Rotterdam.
What we're going to do today is we're going to move Flora from this enclosure because we're expecting the male dragon to arrive, and this is where we're going to hold him once he's arrived. We're going to move her into this bed area first and give her a treat in here, and then coax her straight through into her own bed area where she'll have access outside and into the other on-show exhibit. She does have a very stubborn streak, Flora, and so we're going to bribe her in with food. She'll be able to smell the food and she'll hear us calling. She might ignore us for a while at first, but we're expecting she'll come in quite well. She hasn't fed for a few days because we've been expecting to bring her through. So as soon as she gets a whiff of the rats that we're going to offer her, she should come through quite speedily.
Flora may look slow and sleepy, but Komodos can reach speeds of 20 kilometres an hour, and food is their biggest incentive.
Come on, then. Flora, what's this? Come on, Flora, come on. Come on, Flora. Good girl. What's this? Oh, you like your rats, don't you? That's it. You just like that? That's wonderful.
Karen uses a clicker similar to those used to train dogs to encourage Flora into the second enclosure.
Flora, come on. That's it. Next one. Next gate. Come on. Flora. That's it. As you can see, she's quite keen on her rats. So now we've successfully got her through into her bed area. So she'll be happy in here for the night. We'll switch on her basking lamps so she can have a nice bask there and settle down for the evening.
Karen is one of only a handful of keepers in the country that has such close contact with Komodo dragons. She feels lucky to be involved in preparing for the new arrival.
Very few places in the United Kingdom have got them. I think it's only 3 zoos in the country have them now. And so working with them for the past 6 years has just been a privilege and an honour to work with them so closely. You get to know their personalities, if you will. Their personalities do shine through. Flora's got a very independent streak in her. She's a fascinating animal.
Soon Flora will meet the new male face to face. And if the introductions go smoothly, there could be yet another Komodo dragon at the zoo. It will be an important step towards ensuring the survival of the species. Next morning brings worrying news at the lion enclosure. One of Asher's newborn cubs is weak and not moving. Head keeper Alan Woodward calls in resident vet James Chatterton.
Well, James, there's one in the middle den looks really weak.
Okay.
And the other one she's still just carrying around. I mean, the one she's been carrying around is still crying.
Has she been feeding? Have you seen them suckling at all?
Only that Chris said he thought he saw one suckling about 4:45 around there.
The one that's not moving much is in a pen in the middle.
Yeah.
And she's
in the middle pen now, but she's still going back and forth.
Is she separatable?
She should be able to, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to come down and have a look?
Yeah.
Alan and James must remove the cub from the den if they are to examine it safely. It's a gamble. Without their help, the cub could die. But on its return, Asher might reject it. This is the first time the team has seen either of the cubs up close. This one's a male, and he's limp and unresponsive. 24 hours after being born, Alan was hoping both cubs would be suckling by now.
See how dehydrated we are. I think it's going to be a little bit touch and go, really.
Every minute the cub is away from Asher increases the chances of him being rejected. James needs time to give life-saving treatment, and the clock is ticking. At the Chester Zoo Komodo enclosure, head keeper Isolde McGeorge is running through some last-minute safety checks. After months of careful planning, the new arrival she's been waiting for is finally here.
Thanks very much. Over and out. We've just had a call to say that our new male Komodo dragon is arriving. He's coming all the way from Rotterdam Zoo and he's been in transit for a very long time. So we're going down to the gate now to meet him and bring him through. This is the moment we've been waiting for a long time. Here we are, we've got the whole reptile team with us now. Even Karen's come in for the arrival of the dragon, and it's Karen's day off. In fact, everybody's come in to see the arrival. You can tell how excited we are to meet this dragon.
The Komodo's travelled more than 500 miles, but his long journey is almost over. Making sure he arrives safely is the responsibility of Dutch keeper Sondra Bijhold.
Sandra, it's so good to see you. It's not been that long, but still. We're going to take him out now. Come on. Oh my God.
She's so strong.
Grace gone.
Hi.
Okay.
Just wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
Because he's heavier than you think.
Komodo dragons are the largest lizards in the world. Adult males can grow up to 10 feet in length and weigh over 10 stone. Newcomer Norman is no exception.
I'm going to weigh him.
Okay.
Weighing Norman will help the team to monitor his feeding and general health.
108 kilos. I reckon the crate's at least 30 kilos. I estimate he'd be about 60, 65 kilos. That's what I thought he was about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There you are, talk to him, Sandra.
Ja hoor, kom maar ventje. Kom maar.
Norman understands basic Dutch commands, and Isolde has been on a crash course to try and make him feel more at home.
Kom hier in, Spirenja.
Huh? What's that?
Oh, you told me. That's one of the phrases you told me.
No, that was not Dutch. We'll try it again.
I need a few more lessons, I think.
Try it again.
I think I need a few more lessons.
He looks a little bit sleepy, a little bit tired, but he's okay.
Here he comes. Here he comes, like at last.
Kom maar. Hey, jochie.
Oh, look at that. He is fabulous. Oh, he's a handsome.
He's handsome and he's sweet, and I think he will be very nice with the ladies.
He's a lovely boy.
Norman starts to check out his new enclosure. Komodos don't hear very well, and their eyesight is poor, but they do have an incredible sense of smell. They use their long, forked tongue to trap chemical particles in the air. When the tongue retracts, the particles transfer to two special chambers that send messages to the brain. This helps build a sensory picture of their surroundings. In the wild, Norman would use this extraordinary ability to smell food more than a kilometre away. But here at Chester, he seems happy just to explore his new home.
He's had a little while now to settle down. He's had a roam around his bed area. He's looking quite active, so we're going to give him the option of going out. So we're going to open up the slide door here, and we're going to watch him now and see what happens. Come on, Angel Face, let's have you outside. There we go, in your own time. Go on, do it. He's not sure. There's a curtain there, you see, and to him, that curtain could be a barrier, but he has to know that he can actually walk through it. Be an indication of how smart he is to whether he'll work out that he can go through that curtain. Yes, there he goes. See, he's going through, Sandra.
Yeah, I noticed. Good boy.
Oh, there you go.
Hey.
Sandra's been looking after Norman for 12 years and seems glad to see him settling in well.
Well, he's born in 1994. In Washington Zoo, and he came at Rotterdam Zoo, I think, in 1996. So I take care of him since 1996. Yeah, a little bit of sadness. Yeah.
I can understand very much why Sandra feels very emotional. To actually part with an animal that you've worked with every day, you're building a bond. It's a very special relationship, in particular with Komodo dragons, because they're such a special animal. They really hit you in your heart, and you do feel it. And I can fully understand why Sandra would feel very upset, but Sandra knows that I will take care of him. And as far as I'm concerned, he's already part of our family here.
At the lion enclosure, resident vet James Chatterton and headkeeper Alan Woodward are giving emergency treatment to a lion cub that's close to death.
The last thing we really want to do is to take the cubs away from Asher because she is showing some maternal behaviour towards the cubs. One cub does look quite strong, but this one looks quite weak. I mean, this could have been the weaker of the two. So what we're actually going to try and do now is to rally him round a bit, give him some fluids, and then we'll wipe him all over in the straw from Asher's bed and put him back in. And then hopefully, once he's strong enough, he might start suckling off Asher then.
We've just got some warmed drip fluid that we're just going to give under the skin. What we're trying to do is rehydrate the cub, give the cub something to rally it, ideally so it'll have the strength to suckle back off mum, because what we really want is mum to raise her two cubs. If we pull the cub for a prolonged period, then it's likely that mum wouldn't take the cub back, and therefore we end up having to hand rear it, which is possible, but we'd much prefer the cub to be raised by mum, you know. I know. When you pinch the skin like that, it should really spring back to normal. It's going down very slowly, so that's a sign that we're dehydrated. It's a little bit sore when you pop those fluids under the skin, so it just pinches a little bit. Now, if it was completely gone, it wouldn't be responding at all to me doing that. So the fact that the cub's objecting a little bit, that means there's a little bit of life in it, yeah.
Asher has spent the past 2 hours pacing back and forth between her two dens. There's a worry that she might have stepped on the cub.
The thing I'm concerned about is that from this animal's urinary tract, there's a little bit of bloody stained fluid. Now, that's not normal, so that could indicate...
Why it's so weak?
It could be that there's just a bit of bloody fluid from being born still. Now, if that's really blood in the bladder as well, that might well indicate trauma, so she might well have stood on the cub, you know?
Yeah. I mean, she's
restless,
pacing considerably, and she's doing the same today. Yeah.
I think if we give it some oral glucose here.
Okay.
The glucose will give the cub a vital energy boost. James hopes it might buy the cub enough time to have another go at suckling.
We look very weak. Okay. I'm just going to have a little listen to the heart and lungs. There's no specific sign of injury on the outside, but I'm just concerned that we might have evidence of a little bit of trauma.
The cub's temperature is dangerously low. Without intervention, he could die from hypothermia. The team prepares makeshift hot water bottles using surgical gloves.
If the cub was well fed and mum was settled and nursing them, obviously the cub would be getting its warmth from mum and also be able to generate warmth because he got a belly full of milk, you know. And I don't think this cub's had much to eat by the look of it, certainly in the last few hours. It's very, very empty in its abdomen. We're just going to put that under the sacking, put near the cub.
The cub has been away from Asher more than 15 minutes. James is keen to run more checks, but Alan is growing concerned.
Do you think we can get some of the straw and leave the cub here for 15 or 20 minutes on the heat with some of straw around it?
The problem is that the longer we leave it away from time, the worse it's going to get to get it back to it, really.
Okay. Because we've seen some blood around the urinary tract, I'm going to give some antibiotic as cover. This is an injection that will last 2 or 3 days now. I think it's unlikely that infection is the primary cause of that blood. Because we're so dehydrated, I'm going to give some more fluids under the skin as well.
It is extremely important, and the sooner we can try and get the cub a bit stronger, the better, really. Because we need to get it back in there as soon as possible.
Sorry, cubby. Yeah. So in an ideal world, we would put this cub on a drip. If this was a pet cat, this dehydrated, we'd put some fluids into the vein, you know, and put it on a drip. But because we want the cub to go back with mum as soon as possible, that's not an option. I don't think we can do much more. than that, other than, as I say, taking it down to the vet centre and hospitalising it.
James is holding one of only 300 Asiatic lions left on the planet. The pressure is beginning to tell.
It's not a very nice situation, you know. I want to do much more for the cub, but that's difficult because if we keep the cub out for any length of time, then we commit ourselves to hand rearing it. So we'll have to give it a little bit of time, really, and see how we get on. It's certainly going to be a worrying few hours, you know.
She's okay with it. She's calling to it and she went over and licked it.
Good.
Luckily, she's accepted the cub back, and we're going to sort of like monitor it throughout the day again today. The other cub seems quite strong, a lot stronger than what the one we took out was. So possibly she could be just feeding one and not feeding the other, but this is what we're going to have to look out for today anyway.
It's a stressful time for Alan, who has cared for Asher since she arrived at Chester more than a year ago.
Well, really, this is like my family. So it's an extremely worrying time. It's a worrying time whether to leave them with a mother or to take them away. I mean, that's a huge decision to make. And it's a decision we just can't take lightly. It's been a long night and it's going to be a long day as well, yeah.
Fingers crossed. Mum will come and lie down and let the cub suckle, but I think what we probably need to do is go away and leave Mum to settle in and give her a bit of time now.
The team has done all it can. Now, it's up to Asher. Next time, Tim gets the news he's been dreading.
It's not going to hit me till later. It just hasn't really sunk in.
There's a sticky challenge for Chester's chimps.
Often the more revolting the mixture, the more they like it.
And it's crunch time at the Lion House.
If we leave them in there, I think they're going to die.